So I'm on my way. Hopefully you can see how I'm at least making this kind of buck. There's no guidebook, no rules, especially not when it comes to how you want it to look. This is just what I kind of fancy. This piece here is the one that's going to be slotted in next. I don't know how much you can see of this one here, but this is what the fender looked like on the Wooster, and there's not a whole lot of material left once I'm down to the size that I want for this fender wing. I'm using the same slots that I have before, and the same pieces, just out of convenience, I guess. I'm going to try to keep this straight shape all along, but shape-wise I have a little more to play around with in this end, same as I had a little bit more down here, but I wanted it fairly straight, not much of a curve. Don't know if I'm going to make it, you know, there's a lot of curve here, and I might want to try to make it into more of a sharp, that's the word, but more of a shaped end at the rear. We'll see how it goes. I've made my buck. This is what I ended up with. You've seen the shape before, with all the pieces slotted in, and of course this here strip is so I know where I gotta fold it, where the shape actually ends, and then you have the opening for the wheel. And on the other side I have some I don't remember what you call that in English, but I think you can see what I have, so that I know this is where it's gonna end, facing towards the trailer. And it's a pretty thin, not as deep as the other ones that I have on the car, but I think it's gonna be, I hope it's gonna be suitable for the trailer and the shape of the trailer. And I'm pretty pleased with how it actually fits up against the trailer. It fits pretty snug all the way around. So this is where the fender of the wing will end up eventually, hopefully. So it's time to make a wing. We're having a bit of a cold spell here in Sweden, and even in the southern part where we live, it's been minus 15, 16 centigrade in the nights. So here I am in my overalls. The workshop is still pretty decent. I have, at the worst, it's been like 10 plus centigrades. So colder than I would like it, but still warm enough to keep on working with stuff. So that's what I've been doing. Pretty pleased with the results so far. I made a couple of the pieces for the wheel fender, and as you probably can see, I've also welded them together. Now, in a do-it-yourself perspective and in a cost perspective, this is kind of a bummer again, because you can't really do this unless you have either a gas welder or a TIG welder. The reason is you almost always have to or want to keep working on the piece you're making even after you welded it. And if you use a MIG welder, the material that you're using, and also you get much much too much material in easily. But you can't do it because it's too brittle, and if you try to bang with hammers or mallets on it, there's a risk of it splitting again. If you use a gas or a TIG welder, preferably you use the same kind of material that you have in the piece, and you just use heat. So I've been already kind of try hammering on this weld from the inside a little to see that it's holding together. And I'm gonna see if I need to do some more banging, which is like initial banging before I grind it down again, and we'll see what the weld looks like after I've ground it down. But after I've done that, I can work this whole piece in the same manner as I worked the two separate ones. So that's what's gonna happen next, see if I have to do any adjustments where I made the joint. But as I said, that's pretty okay. Another piece, and I wanted to show you the shape, because I think I almost overdid it this time. And this is probably about as much shape as you can get out of a sheet of mild steel, cold rolled mild steel. Right here I have a small crack where it's actually coming apart from so much stretching. And in hindsight, and when I do the other side, I won't try to make this shape in one piece. It was possible, but just about. And I think you can also see, maybe from the patterns here, that I have kind of stretch marks all over the piece. So it's on the limit, but starting to fit pretty neatly. It's about done. So a bit of welding, and then I pretty much have this piece. Can start to folding in the edges of it and doing the last kind of shaping on it. So a lot of banging, a lot of bashing, and a lot of wheeling. You can see also over here that it's so much kind of shrunk or crimped together that it's laying on top of each other. But one piece out of one piece of metal. So this is what I ended up with. It's not quite done yet. I have a little bit of welding to do on the underside, and a little bit of finishing off here. 4 different pieces, and a decent similarity to what the buck was like. When I start to bend in the flanges, which I've done of course on the back side and also on the front side here, things happen to the shape, which by then it's not so easy to rectify, because I can't fit this piece in the wheel any longer because it's too narrow. So I have to do the best I can, and well, it's not perfect if you wanted a perfect imitation of the buck, but it's close enough, and it's a shape that I think looks pretty handsome actually. So that'll do me. And now it's on to making, well, I'm gonna attach this one first, and I'm gonna MIG weld it to the structure, and then I'm gonna move on to making hopefully something fairly similar for the other side. Fender, where it should be in its place. Result. I'm satisfied. I'm pretty pleased both with the design and how it all turned out. I think it goes with the style of the whole trailer, so I'm pleased with that. Some tweaking, some fettling. Actually, more than I would have had to do. So I've done some things that wasn't necessary, because when I started to turn in the flanges, the shape alters a bit. So I started to mess around with stuff that I should have just left alone and really finished the turning in of the flanges. So that's something that I've learned when I'm going over now to the other side, and not be in a hurry, because what in the end I have to do is to make it go along with the side of the trailer. And it did eventually. I had a small gap up here that I filled with a piece of metal, but apart from that, it came pretty close. And I like the way it looks.